Ladies and gentlemen, when you finally start to win, when the results start showing, when the spotlight shifts your way, you'll notice something that was invisible before. The way people treat you begins to change. Some faces light up, others grow cold. People you haven't heard from in years suddenly remember your name. Strangers act like they've always believed in you. But here's the truth most people don't want to say out loud. Success doesn't create relationships. It reveals them. See, when you're struggling, when your goals are just ideas and your vision is something only you can see, most people stay quiet. They might smile at you, maybe even say good luck. But that's where their energy stops. Why? Because there's no proof yet. No spotlight, no value in standing next to you. And most people aren't drawn to potential, they're drawn to proof. But when you finally start getting wins, when your name starts circulating, when your work starts speaking louder than your voice ever could, that's when people come out of the shadows. That's when you start seeing who was watching you the whole time, not supporting, not helping, just watching. Waiting, measuring. Some people think success changes you, but often it changes the people around you more. It makes some uncomfortable. It makes others opportunistic. It makes you realize who really saw you for you, and who only sees you now because there's something to gain. And that can feel lonely. That realization that the room you once sat in with so many people laughing, cheering, messaging, calling, that room was full of people who were just waiting to see if you'd actually do it. They didn't believe in you when you had nothing. They just waited to see if you could give them something. The hard truth is, loyalty isn't loud during your rise. It's quiet. It's the one friend who checks in when no one's watching. The one person who believes in your crazy idea when you haven't posted about it yet. Those people, they don't need your trophy to feel proud of you. They were proud before you even picked up the pace. When you win, don't be surprised if your inbox floods, if your phone blows up, if people suddenly act like they were always on your team. That's not a sign of how great you are. It's a sign of how transactional people can be. But don't let that make you bitter. Let it make you wiser. Winning is a filter. It removes the noise. It exposes motives, and most importantly, it teaches you to listen more to what people do when you're quiet than what they say when you're loud. You don't need a crowd to be validated. You don't need hundreds of friends to feel seen. You just need the right ones, who saw your value before the world labeled you valuable. Because those are the relationships that don't get built when you win. They were already there. Your win just revealed them. Loneliness isn't talked about enough. Not the kind that comes from being physically alone, but the kind that creeps in when you're on a path no one else understands. When you're chasing something that hasn't shown up yet, when you're evolving into a version of yourself that no one around you has met before, that kind of loneliness can feel heavy, like a sign you've taken a wrong turn, but it's not failure. It's proof you're growing. Growth is uncomfortable. It stretches you, pulls you away from what's familiar, and often isolates you from the people and patterns that once made you feel safe. It's not because you're suddenly not good enough for them, or they're not good enough for you. It's just that elevation creates separation. And not everyone is meant to climb with you. When you start changing your habits, your standards, your mindset, you'll notice a shift. Conversations that once felt exciting now feel shallow. Invitations you once couldn't wait to accept suddenly feel like distractions. You begin to crave depth, alignment, purpose, and when you start operating on that level, the crowd usually thins. That silence, it can sting, but it's not punishment. It's preparation. You're not losing people. You're losing versions of yourself that no longer need them. You're making space. You're shedding old identities, outdated beliefs, and draining relationships so you can walk into rooms where you're no longer shrinking to fit, but expanding to belong. People don't talk about how lonely growth is, because we're conditioned to think being surrounded equals success. But sometimes the most powerful transformation happens when it's just you, your thoughts, your doubts, and your dreams. That quiet season, that's where the real work happens. That's where clarity shows up. That's where you learn how to clap for yourself, validate your own voice, and trust your direction without needing everyone else to understand it. There will be days when you wonder if it's worth it, when you question if the discomfort is a red flag, when you miss the comfort of being part of the crowd. That's okay, that's human, but remember, not everyone can go where you're going, and not everyone wants to. Your journey isn't a group project, it's personal, and the silence around you isn't a void. It's a mirror reflecting back everything that still needs to be healed, built, or released. The ones who are meant to walk with you will find you on the other side, but for now, if it's just you, that's more than enough. Because you're not behind, you're not failing, you're just growing, and growth feels like loneliness right before it feels like freedom. So when it's quiet, when it's heavy, when you feel unseen, remember, this is not your ending. This is your becoming. Keep going. We grow up being taught to wait for applause, to perform, to impress, to earn approval. From the classroom to the boardroom, from family to friendships, it's easy to start believing that your value is something other people confirm. But the truth is, if you want real support, the kind that's rooted in respect and not pity, it starts with one thing: clapping for yourself when no one else is. Most people don't support you until it's convenient, until it's popular, until it costs them nothing. But support that waits for validation isn't support, it's bandwagon energy. The kind that rides with you when you're on a high, but disappears when you fall. That's why you can't build your confidence on someone else's cheer. It has to come from within. It has to start in silence. The first step isn't waiting for someone to tell you you're good enough. It's doing the work, showing up, making progress, taking risks, and then, when no one notices, when no one reposts, no one texts, no one claps, you clap anyway. Because you know the work it took. You know the hours, the doubt, the fears you fought just to show up again. That's what you celebrate, not perfection, persistence. People are watching more than you think. They may not say anything at first. They may not understand what you're building. They may even doubt you silently. But when they see you move with conviction, with pride, with self-respect, that's when things begin to shift. Real support doesn't show up because you asked for it. It shows up because you've demonstrated you don't need it to move forward. Clapping for yourself is a declaration. It says, I'm worth this. It says, I believe in me, even if you don't yet. And that energy is magnetic. It attracts people who aren't here to save you, but to stand with you. People who don't clap just for the wins, but for the effort, for the mindset, for the commitment. You don't earn real support by being perfect. You earn it by being real, authentic, driven, vulnerable, and consistent. But you can't fake that energy. It only comes when you stop performing for others and start living for what lights you up inside. When you validate yourself first, support from others becomes a bonus, not a requirement. There will always be people who only show up for the highlight reel. Let them. They were never your foundation anyway. Your foundation is built in the quiet, in the lonely reps, in the moments where quitting whispers and you say, no, not today. So when you take that small step forward and nobody notices, clap. When you finish the project you thought you'd never start, clap. When you stand up for your worth, even when it costs you, clap. That's how you train the world to see your value, not by begging them to notice, but by becoming undeniable through how you show up for yourself. Every single day, everyone wants to celebrate with you when you win. The party, the spotlight, the recognition. It's easy to find people who will show up once the hard part is over. But that's not where loyalty lies. Loyalty isn't tested at the finish line. It's revealed in the climb, in the chaos, in the in-between moments where most people vanish and only a few stay. Real loyalty shows up when there's nothing to gain, when you're still figuring it out, when your life doesn't look impressive on the outside, and your future is still just an idea, not a result. That's when it matters. That's when you find out who's really with you, not because they need you to succeed, but because they believe in who you are, even before the world validates it. The process is messy, it's uncertain, it doesn't come with guarantees. There are days when you feel like you're moving backward, when nothing clicks, when you're doubting yourself at every turn. And that's when fake support falls away. That's when the people who only cared about outcomes disappear, because there's no prize yet to benefit from. The noise quiets, and you're left with the real ones, the ones who stay when you're tired, confused, and still putting the pieces together. And don't get it twisted, loyalty in the process doesn't mean people fixing everything for you. It means showing up, checking in, holding space. Sometimes it means reminding you who you are when you've forgotten. Sometimes it means just sitting in the silence with you when the words run out. It's not about doing everything for you. It's about not leaving when there's nothing impressive happening. People will tell you they're loyal, but watch how they act when your life stops being convenient for them. Watch what they do when you say no, when you set boundaries, when you need space to grow. That's when the truth shows. Because loyalty isn't loud. It doesn't need attention. It's consistent, it's patient, it's rooted in who you are, not what you can offer. The prize is seductive, it draws a crowd, but the process, that's where the real ones are revealed. The ones who don't just want to stand next to your success, but who were willing to walk through your uncertainty. The ones who didn't just see the potential, they stayed while you built it. That kind of loyalty can't be bought. It's earned and it's rare, so don't chase applause. Don't measure loyalty by who shows up when it's time to take pictures. Measure it by who showed up when you had nothing to show. The ones who walked with you when the road was unclear. Those are the people you build with. Because loyalty found in the process doesn't fade with success. It grows stronger. And it reminds you that you never had to earn love through winning. You just had to be surrounded by people who saw your worth long before the prize ever showed up.